26th, 2021, the world received news that it had lost two great children's book creators. Both Carle and Lois Ehlert had died in the days prior, leaving behind dozens of works and a legacy of inspiring generations of children. As a kid and as a parent, I've always appreciated Carle and Ehlert's work, so I thought I'd try my hand at a little tribute piece, incorporating some of their illustration techniques. I'm starting here with Carle's method for creating textured papers. He used watered-down acrylic paint on tissue paper to make large, colorful sheets, which he would later cut up for use in his collages. The tissue paper is the important part here because it allows light to pass through it to the white paper below. The light then bounces back up through the painted tissue paper, producing a luminous, almost stained glass-like effect. Making these textured papers is a lot of fun because you basically just get to play with color and mark making. The next step in Carle's process is making a sketch for the collage. I decided to draw an eastern black swallowtail butterfly since they're one of my favorites. While Carle's drawing style tended to be very simple, often to the point of abstraction, Ehlert always made sure the images of nature she created were easily identified. She spoke of how she hoped that seeing her illustrations would inspire kids to learn more about the world around them. So I kept with Ehlert's ethos here, and I tried to keep the shapes and markings of the butterfly as recognizable as I could while still simplifying them a little bit. Once I had the sketch figured out, I went over my lines with a Pitt pen as well, just so I had a nice clear guide for the next step. Now it's time to start cutting and assembling the collage. Both Ehlert and Carle were collage artists, so of course that's what I'm making here. Carle's process was to cut up the sketch piece by piece and use it as a template to cut out a piece of his textured paper, and then immediately take that piece and glue it in place on the collage. I'm using Mod Podge, a water-based adhesive made just for this sort of thing. I used the rest of the uncut sketch as a guide to get things to line up better a few times. It helped a bit, but there was still some wonkiness in the placement as I went along. This method is a little bit slow at first, but after a while you can get a groove going. I feel like it would go a lot faster if I had a larger area to work with and didn't have to keep shuffling my components around. Oh yes, cutting out all these little yellow markings was a bit tedious. You can see the difference in that stained glass effect when the yellow is placed on top of the black textured paper versus on top of the white paper. It still looks good and colorful, but not as luminous as the yellow on white does. In one of the videos I watched to prepare for this piece, Carle mentioned using a hole punch. Genius! Way better than trying to cut itty-bitty perfect circles by hand. While Carle stuck almost exclusively to his own textured papers, Ehlert's collages often included found objects as well as elements from nature. I went outside and collected some actual greenery. Don't worry, it's all clover and wild pea. They're weeds, nothing rare or endangered. These plant bits won't stay nice and fresh forever, hopefully just long enough for me to finish and take a picture. I also added some hematite beads from a broken bracelet for the butterfly's big, dark, shining eyes. I needed to break out the hot glue for those. Mod Podge was not going to cut it. Finally, Carle would sometimes add a few little lines and details on top of his collages with pastels, so I filled in the last of the wing markings and antennae. Collage making can be a really great project for kids and adults. If you decide to try your hand at your own collage, hit me up on social media and let me know. Thanks always to Eric Carle and Lois Ehlert for their contributions to the world of art, children's literature, and just the world in general. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time.